Join the VLGA and LGIU for their next Global Executive Live panel on Thursday the 22nd of May, addressing a pressing issue for local government. This webinar will explore the experiences and lessons from across the globe when it comes to civility in public life. Hear from experts about what they're observing, the reasons for a decline in civility, and the impact this is having on retaining talent and promoting diversity. Tickets are free for VLGA members and alumni, and $60 for non-members, excluding GST. Head to the VLGA website to find out more and secure your place. And we look forward to seeing you at the Global Executive Live panel Thursday the 22nd of May from 5:30 p.m. Victorian councils respond after the Parliament passes a contentious new state government tax, a community push to save a regional saleyards from closure, winners and losers from IPART's rulings on special rate variations, a ban on live events in Sydney parks draws criticism. Townsville's suspended mayor launches a petition to have the council sacked, and a Western Australian council on notice as the minister threatens intervention. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. This is your Monday morning update from the Local Government News Roundup. News from and about councils across Australia and beyond. Brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. The Victorian Parliament has passed the controversial new Emergency Services and Volunteers Fund that will replace the existing Fire Services levy from July. Property owners face significant tax increases as a result, to be collected through council rate notices. Many of the state's councils, along with farmer and firefighter groups, had opposed the new fund, urging the government to review and rethink its proposal. ABC News reported that councils are deeply reluctant to enforce the new arrangements and fear that some residents will refuse to pay it, leading to potential revenue shortfalls. Here's a look at what some of the councils around the state have said since the news broke on Friday. Ararat Rural City Council said the new legislation will lead to nearly double the tax collection from $2.7 million to $5 million for its community next year. Mayor Councillor Joe Armstrong said the new tax is a complete travesty for our community and that it would impact every single resident. The council has expressed concern for the potential impact on the mental health and well-being of its residents. Moorabool Shire said the new levy will come as a shock to property owners, with Mayor Paul Tatchell calling it unfair and cruel to farmers in particular. He said there are fairer ways to do this, and it's a shame the Victorian government is using rural property owners to claw back some of their huge debt. Campaspe Shire Council is arguing that the new fund unfairly burdens rural communities by imposing additional taxes without guaranteeing local reinvestment of collected funds. Mayor Daniel Mackerel called on the Campaspe community to sign an online petition calling for the introduction of the fund to be ceased. South Gippsland Shire Mayor John Schelling said the new fund should rightly be called a tax, and while his council supports emergency services, it does not support a funding model that unfairly targets country Victorians. The Deputy Mayor of Bass Coast Shire, Brett Tessari, said he was disappointed to learn the legislation had passed the Parliament and that the council's role as a state tax collector is inefficient, burdensome and reputationally risky. His council will receive a report this week addressing concerns about implementation, local reinvestments and support for those unable to afford the levy. Swan Hill Mayor Stuart King said the transition to the new fund is not fit for regional areas and risks pushing more families, pensioners and farmers into financial distress when many are already struggling. He called for the state to reconsider the implementation and for any future levy to be administered through the State Revenue Office. Greater Geelong Mayor Stretch Contell told the Geelong Advertiser that the government had failed to consult with stakeholders, saying the voice of the community had been blatantly ignored. He was particularly critical of former Geelong councillor Sarah Mansfield, now an Upper House MP, who supported the legislation despite attending a recent meeting with 6 local councils. Greater Shepparton Mayor Shane Saley, who is also the chair of Regional Cities Victoria, said the new fund would lead to a $4.7 million increase in collections for his municipality. He said his council is concerned about the administrative implications, with no clear guidance to the sector on how it will be implemented or whether current systems can support the change. And in Corangamite Shire, the council's initial analysis shows the levy will extract $8.9 million from the local community with little return. Mayor Kate Macon has echoed the concerns of other mayors about the disproportionate burden on farmers and wants the model reassessed and either for councils to be compensated for administering it or collection responsibilities to be shifted to the state. That's a rundown on what various councils and mayors across the state are saying about the new Emergency Services Fund. You'll find links to all of those statements in the show notes. Now let's head back to Swan Hill, where ABC News is reporting on a community push to save the historic livestock saleyards from possible closure. The facility, which has operated since 1938, faces an uncertain future after a council report revealed significant financial losses. Swan Hill Rural City Council says the saleyards have lost more than $800,000 over the past 4 years, with cattle numbers halving in the last decade. The council is now considering 5 options, including complete closure of the facility. Local farmers and businesses have voiced strong opposition to the potential shutdown, with over 450 submissions received by the council, which is now reviewing community feedback before making its final decision. The issue is indicative of a broader trend across the country. From 300 traditional saleyards nationwide 75 years ago, fewer than 100 remain operational today. The City of Melbourne is opposing Infrastructure Victoria's proposal to extend tram lines along Macaulay Road into Kensington. Northwest City News reports that the council's position is that the road is not a suitable alignment and would require significant bridge widening works. While the council supports other aspects of Infrastructure Victoria's 30-year strategy, including north-south transport corridors and the Metro 2 train service, it's emphasising the importance of proper infrastructure planning to accommodate the projected doubling of homes in Melbourne by 2051. And Brimbank Council is developing a new public plaza in Sunshine as part of a project with the Vietnamese Museum Australia. The plaza is designed to be a welcoming space that honours traditional owners and celebrates multicultural communities. The council has proposed naming it Wominjeka Plaza, meaning welcome in Woiwurrung language, and it's seeking public feedback on the name. In other news, the city of Greater Geelong has once again been designated a Tree City of the World. It's the 3rd consecutive year the city has received the recognition, making it one of only 11 Australian cities on a list of 210 across 24 countries. Cardinia Shire Council, in partnership with Victoria Police, has launched the 9pm routine initiative to combat theft, particularly from vehicles. Statistics show that 57% of stolen vehicles were left unlocked or show no signs of forced entry. The initiative encourages residents to perform nightly security checks of their properties. And Ararat Rural City Council has endorsed a 4-year fair access policy and plan aimed at achieving gender equity in sports facility access and usage across the municipality. The plan includes practical steps for implementation and aligns with fair access principles established by the Office for Women in Sport and Recreation. This is the Local Government News Roundup, edition number 453, recorded on Monday the 19th of May, just a few days ahead of the next VLGA-LGIU Global Executive Live panel. That's coming up on Thursday from 5:30, addressing a pressing issue for local government. We'll be exploring the experiences and lessons from local government across the globe when it comes to civility in public life. Councillors and staff are increasingly tackling issues stemming from rising levels of negative, abusive and sometimes threatening rhetoric. Have a listen to this expert panel that's been assembled. Professor Catherine Needham, Professor of Public Policy and Public Management at the University of Birmingham in the UK. Joe Miller, Chief Executive of Hutt City Council New Zealand. Diane Kaelin-Sucre, founder of the Kaelin Academy in Canada. Jackie Weatherall, CEO of the City of Greater Dandenong. And Hannah Phillips, Civility Commission Manager with the Joe Cox Foundation from the UK. It's an amazing panel, and you need to be part of this discussion as we explore the reasons for the decline in civility and the impact it's having on retaining talent and promoting diversity. Tickets are free for VLGA members and alumni and $60 for non-members, excluding GST. Find out more and register your place on the events page of the VLGA website, www.vlga.org.au. Heading today's New South Wales report is the IPART ruling on 6 councils seeking a special rate variation for the coming year and for some beyond that. Sydney's Northern Beaches residents are facing a 25% increase in council rates over the next 2 years following the IPART decision last week. Meanwhile, North Sydney residents have been spared from a proposed 45% rate increase next year and 29% the year after IPART rejected that council's application. The Independent Pricing and Regulatory Tribunal announced its verdict late last week on several council applications to exceed the standard rate cap. Northern Beaches will be allowed to implement a partial increase, scaled back from their original request of nearly 40%. North Sydney Council said it was disappointed in the IPART decision and would now consider alternative strategies to repair its financial position. It said restoring liquidity was its first priority due to the North Sydney Olympic Pool project having reduced renewal of infrastructure and depleted internal reserves. The council said the decision meant infrastructure renewals and backlogs were now unfunded, service levels will be reviewed and reduced, and the ability to respond to new requests from the community will be limited. Federation Council has welcomed approval from IPART for a permanent 69.94% increase to general rates over 2 years, with the increase incorporating previously applied temporary increases and future planned increases through 26-27. The council said the increase is necessary for sustainable service delivery and asset management, particularly for ageing infrastructure, while acknowledging the financial impact on residents and offering hardship assistance options. Shoalhaven City Council said approval of its request for a 12% rate increase from July will result in an average weekly increase of $3.46 for residents. The decision comes after an independent review revealed a $35 million annual shortfall in the general fund, with the council implementing various cost-saving measures and receiving community feedback on the proposed rate variations. Approval for a special rate variation for Gunnedah Shire Council has been welcomed by its mayor, Colleen Fuller, who said the council was pleased to be told its application had articulated for the increase. She said the council would continue to streamline operations and find ways to save money. The approval will see a cumulative 37.67% increase applied over 2 years from this July. The other council to receive approval from IPART is Upper Hunter Shire, which will impose a 10% increase each year for 3 years. It said the increase equates to around $4 per week by year 3 for the average residential household. In other news, Sydney City Council has upheld a ban on large commercial events in local parks due to concerns about damage and prolonged closures for remediation, leading Inner West Council to offer their venues as alternative locations. Inner West Mayor Darcy Byrne told City Hub that Sydney can't afford to lose any more of its live music events. He suggested that requiring organisers to fund remediation costs would be a better solution than outright banning events, calling the ban a retrograde step. Sydney's decision has also sparked criticism from New South Wales Premier Chris Minns and debate about balancing public access to parks with outdoor events. Due to a spate of violent incidents and antisocial behaviour at Wallsend Library, the City of Newcastle has implemented new security measures, requiring visitors to scan their library cards for entry after 3 p.m. on weekdays. The changes include the installation of Open Plus technology and a continued security presence. CEO Jeremy Barth said the council was at a point where it was exploring employing paid police to protect staff and library patrons. The City of Parramatta is leading an initiative to establish Westcom, a Western Sydney cabinet of mayors that will unite local government leaders to advocate for funding and infrastructure in the region. Lord Mayor, Councillor Martin Zater, said the collaboration aims to transform Western Sydney into a global economic powerhouse, with the inaugural roundtable meeting planned for the third quarter of this year to align strategies and proposals for the region's development. George's River Council has introduced new smart bin technology. New waste bins with unique serial numbers linked to property addresses are being rolled out as part of the council's bin replacement program, aimed at improving waste collection efficiency and reducing environmental impact. The council has moved to head off any privacy concerns, confirming that the new bins do not contain GPS tracking and cannot monitor location or contents. The bins are made from up to 80% recycled material and are supported by new collection trucks with real-time tracking capabilities to ensure better service delivery. And Liverpool City Council has significantly improved its development application processing efficiency, reducing average processing times from 285 to 117 days and clearing 77% of its DA backlog over 3 years. Mayor Ned Manoon announced the improvements on social media and said they come as a result of increased staffing, streamlined processes and better guidance for applicants. Some national news briefs for you. Townsville pet owners are being warned about an international scam by a group called PetChip that sends fraudulent emails demanding payment for microchip registration expiration, with the scammers threatening to list pets as unregistered if fees aren't paid. Townsville City Council has reminded residents that pet microchips never expire and don't need re-registration. The City of Hobart's new free e-bike library is set to double in size just a week after opening. The city will add 6 more electric bikes to the fleet, as early demand saw many models booked out until late next year. Tasmanians can borrow an electric bicycle for 2 weeks free of charge from the state's first-of-its-kind e-bike library. And congratulations to the Shire of Ashburton, this year's winner of the Pilbara-Kimberley Regional Management Challenge. The LG Professionals WA program is designed to promote skill building and professional development, reflecting the real-world issues faced by rural and remote local governments. Now for some news out of Queensland, and suspended Townsville Mayor Troy Thompson is in the news again. He's launched an online petition to dissolve the current city council, citing inadequate maintenance, poor fiscal management and breaches of key governance principles. The petition, which aims to collect 10,000 signatures by the 20th of June, comes while Mr Thompson remains suspended on full salary, pending a Crime and Corruption Commission investigation into allegations about his military history and qualifications. Acting Mayor Anne-Marie Graney has defended the council's ability to govern and says the council remains strong and continues to work for the community. 2 men have been jailed for 18 months and 9 months respectively following separate assaults on Fraser Coast Regional Council community rangers while performing their duties earlier this year. Council CEO Ken Deem has welcomed the sentences as a strong message against workplace violence and said the council had implemented enhanced security measures and additional staff training in response to the incidents. Following the closure of RSPCA Queensland's Noosa Animal Shelter last week, lost pets will now be taken to the Sippy Creek Animal Pound through a new partnership between Noosa and Sunshine Coast Councils. The facility, which reunited 380 lost animals with their owners in 2024 and helped 632 animals find new homes, will provide care for the small number of lost pets from Noosa. Noosa today reported that the council's local laws officers would only take animals to the pound if they're unable to contact the owners directly. Some news out of South Australia. Tatiara District Council CEO Anne Champness has decided not to seek a further term beyond her current contract, which expires in November. Mayor Liz Goosens paid tribute to Ms Champness's guidance and leadership and said the council will commence recruitment for a new CEO in the coming weeks. Ms Champness has been the council's CEO since 2017 and said she's looking forward to spending extended time with her family overseas. Port Pirie Regional Council is implementing new measures to address the city's pigeon overpopulation problem, including exploring the use of a sterilisation treatment that interferes with pigeon reproduction. The initiative requires collaboration between local businesses, councils and government to combat infrastructure damage and public health concerns. Residents are being encouraged to assist through proper waste management and avoiding feeding the birds. And Port Lincoln City Council is seeking community feedback on a proposal to revoke community land classification for 5 council-owned sites, with potential plans including aged care facilities, residential development and a childcare centre. Proceeds from potential land sales will be reinvested into community infrastructure through the council's land and building reserve. And in Western Australia, the local government minister Hannah Beazley has warned that the City of Nedlands Council could be placed into administration due to repeated poor behaviour, including compliance issues, transparency problems and failure to maintain meeting quorums. Ms Beazley told ABC Radio that the council's dysfunction was evident in its inability to meet deadlines for compliance audit returns and failure to upload required audio-video content. Adding to the controversy, the council is reportedly opposing the development of a nature parkland for dying children at a hospice in Swanbourne, a stance that the minister says she finds extraordinary and out of step with community sentiment. Now let's take a look at some stories making news overseas. Firstly, in the UK, Somerset Council has made 292 staff redundant in the past financial year, including over 80 compulsory redundancies, as part of a major restructuring exercise to prevent financial collapse and to reduce duplication following the merger of 5 councils. BBC News reported the cuts represent an 11% reduction in the council's workforce, expected to save £34 million, though concerns have been raised about staff morale and the impact on service delivery. There are calls for senior-level resignations at Warrington Council following a highly critical best value report that recommended appointing commissioners to oversee parts of the authority due to concerns about its commercial program and debts. The council has pledged to respond positively to all recommendations, with the government planning to send in ministerial envoys rather than commissioners. BBC News reported on council leader Hans Mundry's announced plans to develop an improvement plan and appoint a transformation director. A former council leader in Anglesea has avoided suspension after facing disciplinary action for saying all Tories should be shot during a council meeting in 2023. Ewan Williams apologised for the crass remark made while discussing poverty. BBC News reported that he had self-reported the incident and cooperated with the investigation, which found that he'd breached the council's code of conduct. In the USA, to Oregon, where Portland City Council is grappling with a contentious $7.8 billion budget proposal that relies on temporary fixes and service cuts to address shortfalls across multiple departments. WillametteWeek.com reported on the main points of contention, which include a councillor's proposal to reallocate nearly $2 million from police staffing to parks maintenance, and a broader debate over maintaining essential services, while several bureaus face significant cuts and layoffs. In South Carolina, the Mayor of Florence, Lithonia Barnes, and city officials have held a news conference addressing recent gun violence in the area. WBTW News reported that multiple shootings with one fatality and a critically injured victim have led to an emotional plea from the mayor to gang leaders and those involved in violence to stop the bloodshed. The city's police chief, Alan Heidler, has raised concerns about repeat offenders being released on bond, and the council is promising stronger enforcement measures. In Canada, Alberta Province has a new Minister of Municipal Affairs. Dan Williams became the 19th person to hold the post in 25 years when he was sworn into office on Friday. He was previously the Minister of Mental Health and Addiction and has been a member of the Legislative Assembly for 6 years. The appointment of Mr Williams and the impact of a broader cabinet reshuffle is explored in a new episode of Municipal Affairs with Chris Brown. And in New Zealand, Wellington City Council has highlighted an increase in reported antisocial behaviour towards its staff. The council participated in Pink Shirt Day last Friday, a global initiative promoting safe and respectful environments. It's reminded the public that council staff are also Wellingtonians who deserve to be treated with kindness, as personal confrontation has become the highest reported risk to staff above other health and safety hazards. And that's the Local Government News Roundup for Monday the 19th of May 2025, edition number 453. If you have comments or feedback, you can send us an email at lgweeklynews@gmail.com and find out more about this episode, including all the story links and a transcript, by heading to lgnewsroundup.com. The Local Government News Roundup is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. I'm grateful to the many of you who help make this podcast possible by supporting us through a monthly subscription. Support starts at $3 per month, around $5 Australian, and you can cancel your subscription at any time. Details on the website or in your podcast player. The Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. Until next time, thanks for listening, and bye for now. I'm thrilled to welcome Symphony 3 to the Local Government News Roundup family. If you're a local council, you know how challenging it can be to manage data across all your different systems. That's where Symphony 3 comes in. They've developed Smart Glue, a platform that integrates over 55 council systems, automating data flow without the need for manual work. It turns confusion into simplicity. With Smart Glue, councils save time, reduce errors, and empower staff to focus on what really matters. Their clients see a real difference, up to 20% boost in productivity, with savings of over $30,000 per integration every year. Symphony 3 helps councils work smarter, faster, and more efficiently, all while better supporting the communities they serve.